Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. And welcome to our June Lubezine Magazine webinar. My name is Collins Ngaira. I'm the Lubezine Magazine Content Manager. And this month of June, we're excited to explore the topic, the hub that moves Africa. And in that, we shall be unpacking the the UAE's influence on lubricants trade. We shall be looking at the UAE's influence on lubricants trade. This month, we're also excited to host Sanjay Pratap, who is the Chief Operations Officer of Black Bulls Greases and Lubricants. And of course, Dr. James Wakiru, who is our editor-in-chief here at Lubezine Magazine, will be driving us through the conversation. So it's also necessary to note that during the conversation, we have our Q&A section in which we are all allowed to share questions. Then our guest speaker, Mr. Sanjay, will be responding to the questions chronologically towards the very tail end of the conversation. So at this point in time, you will allow me to invite Dr. James Okiru, who will in turn invite our guest speaker, and together they are going to sail us through the conversation. So welcome, Dr. James.
Thank you, Collins, and good afternoon, everyone. I think here is afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to this Lubezine webinar. Today we explore this critical corridor shaping Africa's lubricants future, the United Arab Emirates. Our guest is Mr. Sanjay Singh, as intimated, the CEO of Black Bulls Grease and Lubricants Manufacturing LLC, a leader deeply engaged in both UAE and African markets. Sanjay, thank you for joining us, and give you a minute to introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, James. Thank you for having me. To all our viewers, James, Collins, my name is Sanjay. I have been in the lubricant industry for good about 30 years now. Served in various capacities in India and Middle East across various organizations. Good fortune of being associated with various facets of our product line. Like I started with sales, had a bit of stint in business development, then technical services, into management roles, wherein I was handling both retail and industrial. And over a period of time, as one gets restless. So I left the MNC environment towards more of owner-driven business environments, knowing that the decision making will be faster and where you can make a difference was probably what was driving me. And I am delighted to be here as a guest of James and Collins. Look forward to a wonderful webinar.
Thanks so much, Sanjay. And I think we can set the stage basically to look at UAE as a strategic hub. I think it's important. And from your vantage, of course, in the UAE, what structural advantages makes the region such a powerful hub, as you know, for lubricants, base oils, and additives flowing into Africa? And apart from that, looking ahead, how do you see these advantages evolving over the next 5 years?
Thank you, James. So as I look at it, UAE has been developing for quite some time its logistical capabilities. And initially it was just the location which made it a hub. And now it is by design that it is emerged as a very, very powerful hub, particularly for servicing the continent of Africa, not only in lubricants, in a whole lot of things. Now, some of the major advantages, if I may go through them, it's got a world-class logistics infrastructure. Jebel Ali Port is second to none in terms of technological capability, in terms of turnaround times of vehicles, in terms of storage, in terms of customs clearance. Everything is driven very, very fast here. Of course, then comes the location. It has got a great proximity to major global shipping lanes. Probably over a period of time, we will touch upon the another point which I'm going to make very, like a passing reference to. In light of the current circumstances, we have to look at how fast the eastern ports and Omani ports are evolving to take over the load of Jebel Ali. Now, coming back to our industry, what has got UAE so special? So UAE, as part of GCC, has got excellent availability of Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3 base oils. As you know, Group 1 and 2 are being produced by Aramco, Group 3 by ADNOC, which is local here, Babco, which is like a stone's throw from us, and of course GTL from Qatar. Over a period of time, as UAE lubricant business has grown and grown, additive local storage has become commonplace here. The 3 out of the 4 majors, Lubrizol, Afton, and Infineum, are stocking the product locally. In terms of packaging, we have got a wonderful petrochemical industry which has come up very nicely in the GCC. So HDPE and LDPE are sourced locally. And taking all these 3 things together, there is an immense contribution of the early movers, the guys who set up the lubricant plants in the 90s and all. They understood that there will be a very efficient aggregation of base oils and additives and packaging, combine it with the rapid blending and streamlined re-export to African markets. So these are some of the structural advantages. How do we go from here, particularly in light of what is happening currently? So over the next 5 to 10 years, that is kind of a midterm outlook, I expect these advantages to evolve towards a more tech-integrated, just-in-time supply model. It is evolving at a lightning pace. And why am I saying that it is evolving at a lightning pace is that UAE, in our industry, blenders and suppliers both have embraced AI like there is no tomorrow. So we see, even during current times, driven by enhanced digital tracking and smarter inventory management to ensure that we are able to service, we as a country and we as a lubricant industry in UAE are able to service our partners as fast as we can, reducing the lead times for our clients across the world. But Africa is a natural partner for UAE, so obviously that is where we do most of our business. I see UAE only growing smarter and faster from here.
That's a very invited, talk that you've given about going towards GIT platform. And that's basically what the customer will really want. When I need, I have it. And so that leads us to something to talk about in the customer value in this changing African market. Yeah. You have been known, of course, to building some customer value propositions. And I've known you built quite a number of these in African countries from UAE. So how should suppliers and distributors redesign the value delivery for African markets where customers now have more choices, as you say, just in time, more information, and of course, higher expectations than ever before?
Yes, James, you are very right. We are seeing it happening very fast. So if I may say, and I've been saying it over various forums quite openly, and I will repeat it again, that today's African market is highly informed and the customers are very discerning. So the old ways of suppliers being just like simple product sales, dump whatever is asked for, it needs to change to a more solution-oriented partnership. one cannot simply dump off-spec or substandard products at cheap prices into the markets. That is not the right way to do business, and it is very disrespectful way of doing business towards an entire continent which has been waking up for about last few years and is expected to be the next growth engine of the entire world. So what we do that to ensure that we retain our customers' trust and kind of are able to retain them by offering more value-added services. So we are these days designing our value chain by offering technical training, localized market support, and depending on the urgency, and sometimes you introduce a product which sells fast, the customer is looking at how fast can you supply. So flexible but a consistent supply chain solution. The focus is no longer just on the product, but on the reliability of the product, the technical expertise, and the total cost of ownership, which we are bringing to our partner. Now, we do not differentiate between our distributors and partners for whom we do white label manufacturing. So just two examples. Before the webinar, James, we were talking about Hormuz disruption. So how did we handle it? And maybe I'm not claiming we were the unique ones. Maybe more people handled it like that. So how did we manage the supply disruptions to ensure our customers do not suffer? The first thing which we did as soon as the first shots were fired and we felt it, this is gonna not end very quickly. So immediately on 1st of March, we told our clients that we will honor all orders accepted by us. We will not ask for a price increase. But if the freight rates goes up, we were looking at some kind of a shared solution so that we do not go under the tremendous pressures which this unwanted war had put us into. Customers responded back positively. And then individually, through our business development managers, through our management staff, through various channels, we held detailed discussions with our clients in terms of how at this moment, in these situations, pricing becomes a redundant feature. And people who have product become kings of the market. I'm not going to name who accepted it and who took some time coming around to the view, but this turned out right. So value delivery does not only mean product. Value delivery also means a good counsel, more of a partnership-driven approach. So that is what I think is gonna drive the future value proposition of UAE-based blenders to the buyers out there in Africa.
That's really nice. Partnership requires information. It requires us to be transparent so that we can all know where the problem is and co-create some solution together. And talking about this, you've been vocal to advocate transparency and information sharing. So how can greater transparency across UAE Africa supply chain reduce pricing volatility? Because there's quite some volatility right now. But also we need to strengthen trust and, of course, improve long-term partnerships.
Wonderful question, James. So, you spoke about transparency and trust in the same breath, and which is the right way to speak about it. Transparency is the foundation of trust. So when we say about being transparent and being a trustworthy partner, that means We may not be the bearer of good news all the time, but we must be the bearer of the truth all the time. That establishes trust. The customer may not love you or like you, but the customer must be able to trust you. So that is what transparency entails. How do we enhance it? By sharing accurate market intelligence. I mean, not market intelligence of the client's region. Probably he has better intelligence than us sitting in UAE, but global market intelligence, which way the market is turning, what is happening across the world. Like during the last few months, when customers were a little bit apprehensive because the price rises were like not in small percentages, but in like double-digit percentages every few weeks. So we shared with them the basic principle of economics. A commodity price will not leave any space for any kind of an arbitrage. And some of them took some time to understand that. Some of our distributors, particularly, not obviously white label clients who are evolved business houses. So we share accurate market intelligence, basically, by which I mean global market intelligence, demand forecasting. How does, in our opinion, these kind of disturbances probably skew the demand across various specifications, across various grades? What's going to happen? And real-time shipment status, particularly during current times. People were asking us what happened. And unfortunately, over 10, 12 ships which had containers loaded for our clients were stuck in the Strait of Hormuz. Some of them came back offloaded. We didn't ask about what is going to be the cost. When they came back and offloaded, we simply told the shipping line, take it to Oman, send it out. But one particular ship bound for South America waited for 3 months. It sailed last week. So when we are absolutely honest and transparent with our partners, they do not like the news all the time, but they realize that we can trust them. So keeping all these things in mind, we cannot control the pricing. We cannot control the volatility of availability, but we can mitigate the fear of pricing and the volatility in availability. And obviously, we have to stand by the quality which we give. Because in current circumstances, when raw material availability is tight, it is better to say no than supply a substandard product. Transparent costing and margin management. We actually shared what has been the increase in the raw material cost based on global data, not our data. We used ICIS forecasts, various models which we came across and showed them this is what it is leading to. So when the information flow is open between UAE suppliers and African clients, it will reduce the information asymmetry. And information asymmetry is what leads to panic buying or artificial price inflation. So you remove the pricing asymmetry, information asymmetry, and then there is a longer term and more stable commercial relationship. So it's not going to be happening in one day or a month or 1 year. It happens over a period of time. But particularly very tough and trying times do tend to accelerate or de-accelerate the trajectory of the partnership.
Yeah, I think sometimes we find ourselves with this asymmetricity. Yeah, so one side is pulling more than the other side. So
absolutely,
and looking at the way currently the environment is volatile, and the geopolitical tensions, the freight disruptions, fluctuating base oil prices, and a lot of what risk management practices. Now, not you as a supplier, not you as who supply in Africa, but the African OMCs, oil marketing companies, the blenders, the importers. What risk management practices should they adopt when now sourcing from UAE suppliers?
A great question, James. I will use one of my most favorite words. It has been my favorite word since 2015 when I first heard it. It's VUCA, VUCA. It basically describes a business and environment by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And we are living in a VUCA world for quite some time. Now that VUCA world is upon the Middle East, so you can only prepare for it. You cannot avoid it. You can prepare for it in terms of mitigating it. So obviously, African blenders, OMCs, importers who had been depending on UAE as a very reliable source of supply for so many years, so many decades, suddenly were caught, some of them at least, were caught short. So this is something which we intend to sit with our clients more and more and talk about this. How do we mitigate it? But I mean, the key will be in two words: diversification and collaboration. Diversification does not imply that we go get five suppliers. It basically means diversify into a good spread of various grades currently selling in the market, with a prime focus on the more the growing market share of those grades, probably the synthetics and the semi-synthetics. And collaboration implies evolving buyer-seller relationship to a partnership. Partners will be more than happy to take a short-term setback in terms of commercials, probably a little bit of a loss or a at cost basis. But a buyer and a seller relationship will always be profit margin driven. So when we are talking about diversification, we are also talking about development of area specific products based on the general conditions of usage rather than off the shelf solutions. So when you are able to give a very robust product as compared to a very generic off the shelf product, you will have a very loyal client base. So that can be a mitigating factor in a weaker environment. For importers, my advice is, and we saw that there were very few who were doing a lot of window shopping. Now, when we saw the war coming, we made a conscious decision. We will not take new business accounts. We will only serve our existing clients to the best of our ability. That was a very conscious decision. It was not charity, but it was just to ensure that we were revalidating our partnership with our valued partners. So once we start getting distracted with window shopping, then partnerships built over years are threatened. And comparison with competitors, which may not be apple to apple always, it tends to degrade trust and the partnerships. Close and regular dialogues on short and mid-term outlook are a must to avoid these kind of misunderstandings. Probably is not the right word, but I will use that word. Again, the biggest thing is that this is a wake-up call for everybody, not only the African OMC, across the world, that stock management practices need to improve. Long-term contracts are the need of the hour. We cannot rely on 1 year, 6 months, 3 months contract. So we are talking 3 to 4 years contract in which the supplier knows for sure that even if I lose for 2 or 3 months or 4 months, there is plenty of space to gain later. People who stick longer term do not face force majeure. particularly with, let's say, independent tube blenders. Finally, for very evolved businesses, price hedging mechanisms can be worked out with partners. But this is only for evolved businesses, mature businesses. I spoke about the supply partner being more of a guide in terms of forward guidance on the volatility and market direction globally. These are the kind of partners you must be looking at, not the kind of partners who only says, here is a price, here is a product, take it, give me my money, and then thank you very much. But a partner who will be providing forward guidance on the volatility and market direction globally, and apply it rationally to the concerned area. Africa is one continent, but it is so many countries with their own different outlooks, different practices, different usage conditions. So it's not one. One has to be very clear in terms of applying it to the particular marketplace. And then obviously the other things, robust documentation, quality certifications, local and online technical support on demand. I'm not saying technical support as, no. I'm saying on demand. It should be that if a salesman is encountering a question which he does not know an answer, he should be able to pick up a phone and call up his business development manager back in Dubai and say, okay, what do I tell him? So these are some of the things which reduce and mitigate operational risks when you are operating through an environment in which price becomes a very, very limiting factor.
Now, maybe we put some spotlight on Black Bulls a bit. So you're currently in Black Bulls Grease and Lubricants Manufacturing, LLC. Of course, this company, we've seen a bit of it. It has some visibility in UAE and also in African markets. So could you share a bit on your vision, your capabilities that you've built, and maybe how your company is positioned itself within UAE Africa Lubricants Corridor?
Thank you so much, James. So let me speak a few words, then with your permission, I'd like to share a slide and
please
take us all through a few points. But first, let me speak a little bit about what is Black Bulls about. So Black Bull was founded by, its founder is Naveen Sachar, who started this company to provide premium grade, reliable and accessible lubricant solution. So he did not want to give an off-the-shelf solution. He wanted to give a very premium grade product. I mean, obviously a premium grade product will be reliable, but we wanted to be accessible. We wanted to be the value for money solution provider, whether to our distributors and to our white label partners. Now, over a period of time, we have built our reputation on manufacturing excellence. I can justifiably take pride in terms of how our people work, in terms of ensuring literally zero quality complaints. Obviously, manufacturing excellence cannot happen unless and until there is a very stringent quality control. Quality, in our case, is a separate function. It reports to the founder, not to me. And that means they are free to hold any production or any raw material till the time they are satisfied. If they are not satisfied, then we have to redo the entire thing. And most importantly, I don't know how, but he saw that supply chain will be the key. So over a period of time, we have built a very agile supply chain, and that can handle, I mean, the challenges of the African market, the challenges of the global market. And I mean, I've touched upon this line maybe a couple of times already, but we position ourselves not just as a supplier, but as an extension of our partner's business. If they succeed, we succeed. If they fail, we fail. And that doesn't mean I can claim to be the best in commercial, best in quality, and best in terms of services. But mix these three up, and I strongly feel that we are there with the best of them all. We offer a long-term solution over short-term gains. And like I said, just give me a minute to very quickly show the slide which I was talking about. Can we see this?
Yes, we can.
So this is just a slide showing off what we are. I'll quickly touch upon a few things which are basically our testimonial. We are there in 54 plus countries across the globe. We produce not only lubricants, but greases, coolants, and brake fluids in-house, right from scratch. Capacity is about 70 million liters per annum. Add the greases, brake fluid, and coolant, and we are closer to 84 million, say 80 million tons, or 80,000 metric tons per year. Our product mix is roughly divided equally between our white label partners and brand sales. Specialty, so we look at the kind of customers we have is basically obviously brand distributors. We service the smaller independent fuel distributors getting their own lubricant brands. We are there with the MNCs, and we are there with the national oil companies as white label suppliers. So we have got a good mix of the clients, very risk optimized mix. We are, although it should not be a big news, but very few players will have in-house solubilization of polymers inside the plant. We are one of them. We are in the process of putting up a plastic factory very close to our lubricant factory as a case for backward integration. And that will help us in achieving the just-in-time which I was talking about. Our markets are spread across the world. So we are present in the Americas, we are present in Africa, we are present in Asia, we are present in obviously Far East. Roughly, if we see that how does our export work is, we roughly sell about 30% in Middle East, 30%, 35% in Africa, and another 35% in the Americas and Far East. So that's about a little bit about us.
It's a ton of information. I think you you've worked. I see you are spread your tentacles to Africa, Americas, and I think the main thing is building teams, joint teams, and shared capabilities. You emphasize so much on this driving business growth. So how can the UAE suppliers and the African distributors build joint teams of shared or maybe shared capabilities that accelerate the market penetration and customer retention? Because if we have problems with the supply, then I lose customers here in Africa. How can we come up with those joint teams?
Very, very valid point, James, because we also firmly believe that growth happens at the intersection of expertise. One man does not form a village. So if there is an intersection of expertise, so what does UAE supplier bring? UAE supplier like ourselves bring manufacturing and technical knowledge. What does the distributor or the uh, marketer of lubricant brings from Africa? They bring that deep market access and the consumer insights. We have no idea what the client in Ghana or Kenya or Tanzania might be thinking. And thinking is not a linear thing. It kind of moves in very, very fascinating ways. Some people might be thinking if they are fine with a monograde, then there is another set of people who are saying, no, the multigrades is the way. And then there are evolved people who are saying we must shift to synthetics and semi-synthetics. A lot of African countries, I'm seeing a heavy offtake of electric vehicles. Things are changing in Africa, and that is what our African partners bring to the table. And that is invaluable. So when we are talking about joint teams, we are talking about joint business reviews, sometimes online, sometimes on a call, sometimes, and I mean, at least 3 to 4 times a year across the table, whether in UAE or at the customer's location. Based on these discussions, we obviously draft up the business plans. We see the unique problems being faced by our partners. And then we try to fortify our products to see that they do not face the same problems again. Shared training workshops for the distributor staff, collaborative technical support teams. So we have been trying to, over the last 5-6 years, we have been trying to get dedicated resources from our clients in terms of building them up in terms technically to service technical services manager at site. We have got a technical advisor, very respected technical advisor with about 45 years of technical experience across various companies, MNCs and national oil companies. His job is basically to support the distributor and the oil marketers teams technically and train them. Initially basic, then medium, and then we obviously encourage our staff and the distributor or the customer staff to go for advanced lubrication training to ensure that they are able to do justice. But again, coming back to that, saying that is easy, doing it in actual practice, it has to be calendar driven. You put a date, you stick to it. You put a time, you stick to it. You keep on hammering at it till the time being a team becomes second nature to you. But there is no other way than having a very aware sales team duly supported by the technical capabilities of the manufacturer to achieve market penetration, and obviously much more important than new customer acquisition is the customer retention part of the thing. So we must be able, our partners must be able to see what is going to happen and then take preventive action. And that can only happen when we go all out in terms of supporting the members of their teams without any reservations.
Nice. I think the conversation is really nice. And I want to encourage anyone who is listening in, if you have a question, just drop it in the Q&A section so that when we come into the tail end, we can have the questions answered. Let me jump to something that is affecting Africa. We are struggling with combating counterfeit lubricants. And I think this is normal. I think if you'll see in the news some counterfeit products, kind of caught somewhere. With this challenge, in parts of Africa. How can the UAE suppliers support African partners? Of course, in strengthening quality assurance, one, product authentication, because we need to really have product authenticated, and supplier diversification. How can you help us, of course?
So, James, we have been approached by our partners on this issue, probably not very long ago, and we have been actively working on that. And we do understand it's an industry-wide challenge. Uh, uh, Again, one man can't fight an army. So we need all like-minded people, all people who have stakes in ensuring that counterfeit and substandard products are first contained and then eliminated. So to combat an industry-wide challenge, UAE suppliers must support African partners this is what we have been experimenting with, particularly with a few trial clients who are more open to experimentation. So we are supporting these partners by implementing multi-layered authentication technology, QR codes, tamper-evident seals, and obviously rigorous training. I keep on coming back to that same point. Technology, we cannot be there everywhere, but we need to train a few people in our at our partners station to identify non-genuine products, because that is also important. Just combating can only happen when you can see the enemy. So first we need to identify these non-genuine products, and for that we need our people. So we are not looking at only combating a counterfeit Black Bulls product. We are looking at combating even a Castrol counterfeit or a Shell counterfeit, because if we are restricting ourselves to only catching counterfeiters of our own brand, then we are not doing the right thing. Counterfeiters have zero brand loyalty. They will go and counterfeit anything and everything which sells. We must fight them all together. So obviously QR codes, tamper evident seals, we are experimenting with big data technologies to see if we can probably get something going on that. We have seen that in large concentrated markets happening. We want to see how it works out in Africa. Obviously, training the partners technical team in terms of identifying non-genuine product. And for that, because once we train them, and then the same people will go and talk to the institutional or the institutional businesses, which will be an easy talk. The mechanic, which will be a very difficult task in the retail to distinguish, and that's where, particularly at the mechanic level, legitimate and counterfeit products both make an entry, and a mechanic's cooperation is vital in fighting this. So they also need to be roped in as a partner by telling them that using a counterfeit product means you probably will lose repeat customers and you will get a bad name, and even in the midterm your business will be under threat. People sometimes react very positively, not sometimes, most of the time they react very positively, given the future is laid stark bare in front of them. So obviously we help our partner. We have been helping our partners developing mechanic education programs. It's a lot. We have just started. It's a long way to go for, and we are hoping more and more people join these kind of programs. And obviously, one of the things we tell people is that if it is too good to be true, then it probably is not true. So it's a lot of technology and let's say personal relation kind of a thing, which is amalgam of these two things, which will work in first containing the counterfeiting menace and then eliminating it altogether. We are seeing a drop in counterfeiting over a period of time as customers become more and more aware.
Okay, so I think one of the things that is causing also some counterfeit is the shift that we are experiencing in the group 1, 2, 3 base oils, the flow of these products. So what are these flows? And of course, through UAE, what should then the African blenders prepare for in terms of long-term availability, pricing behavior, and supplier diversification? I think there's been a lot of disparity on this group 1, 2 products in terms of pricing and all that. And it confuses the blender back here in Africa. What could we do to ensure that we are able now to be on top of this?
So, James, I mean, this is probably the right time for us all to take a deep breath and look at it, because this short war has exposed deep shifts in the group 1, 2, and 3 marketplace. So where we were observing a gradual shift from group 1 to group 2 and 3. I don't need to tell you that group 1 supply has been tapering off for quite a few years now, and group 2 and group 3 has been growing. So group 1 was already getting replaced. But now what we are seeing is that although group 1 availability still remains, but today group 2 and group 3 availability has become very constrained. So all the gains which we had achieved by shifting clients to our higher specification products are under a threat of getting lost. Because gone are the, and during my travels and extensive travels in the continent of Africa, the amount of pride of ownership I see in Africa for a personal vehicle is very high. I have not seen that kind of a pride in. I don't think. I can say that any other continent will have this kind of a pride of ownership. So people love their vehicles. People want good products for their vehicles. Unfortunately, they have no way of finding out if the product which they're using is the right product or has been made in the right way. So what I feel is that although today's world is showing 2 and 3 supply getting constrained because of Hormuz issue, but this is a temporary phenomena. This will pass. And African blenders, particularly, should be technically gearing up towards group 2 and 3. Maybe initially as a mix of group 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, more of a, let's say, a higher version of mineral and a version of semi-synthetic, because group 3 is still pure group 3, pure synthetics are still a smaller part of the market. But they should start doing that, because our product mix is indicating that the shift is quite strong towards semi-synthetic at the moment. And synthetics have been growing, although from a very low base, but they have been growing very strong. Now, one of the things which a lot of discussions when it happens, they often end with some of the people talking about the commercial justification. So I always tell them that if you as a buyer of lubricants or base oils go to a white goods shop and want to buy a fridge, do you consider only the price or other factors? And then the guy will say, no, price, size, brand, this thing, that thing, 100 different things will come out. So then why should lubricant be sold, or lubricant base oil should be sold only on price? Price is only one of the factors. Now, this is easy to say, but difficult to achieve. But investing in training of the sales team towards considering commercials as one of the factor rather than the factor, it will require an investment with good trainers, who can teach this through role plays, and this will pay dividends because the shift towards group 2 and group 3 is inevitable. It will happen whether we like it or we don't.
I think we can get to some questions. Collins, maybe you can take it up from here. Some few questions that are there.
Yes, thank you. We have a number of questions. I'll just read them, then we'll respond to them. So the first is, we have started seeing API SQ coming into the market. Is UAE market currently poised to supply this product? Will there be any limitations for us in Africa? Then the next question is on the market size of West, East, and South Africa separately. I think that was a bit clear. The next one is, will the rise of electric vehicles affect lubricant demand across Africa? And when do you expect the impact to become significant? Then we have another one here says, after recent political events, are we getting any change in how Africa buys both its finished oils and base oil? Will East Africa start looking at options from East India and other options? I'll go to another question. Another one asks, who are the UAE's main competitors for lubricant exports in Africa? And now the last question is, are there any efforts to ensure compliance with product quality standards for lubricants exported to Africa, especially in light of claims about quality from some local blenders in Sharjah, Ajman, and Ras Al Khaimah? Yeah, those are the questions that you have.
Let me start very briefly with the first one. Yes, API SQ has started coming into the markets. It is very much available in UAE, and UAE blenders, quite a few UAE blenders are capable of supplying this product, including us. Now, I do not understand the point by will there be any limitations for us in Africa. Now, the idea behind evolution of specifications is that they are backwards compatible. So I don't see any limitations, but if you are using an SL and you want to graduate straight to an SQ, probably that may not be the best idea. But I mean, it will start coming into Africa probably by the end of this year. I mean, reasonable quantities. At moment, even within GCC, which is a pretty evolved market, SQ does not have much of a penetration. But obviously, there will be a novelty associated with it. Some people will buy it in Africa also, and UAE will be able to supply that within a problem. Hirak has asked market size of West, East, and South Africa separately. This probably will need a lot of adding up. So I am going to skip this. Hirak, we can have a separate call on this. How will the rise of electric vehicles affect lubricant demand across Africa, and when do you expect the impact to become significant? Okay, electric cars are there to stay, not only in Africa, everywhere else. But the revised estimates, I mean, initial estimates were saying, oh my God, electric cars are going to eat up the lubricant market and nobody will require lubricant anymore. That is no longer so. Quite a few markets, particularly Asia and Africa, will keep on showing growth. Asia will show growth till about 2035, 2040, and Africa will probably show growth till about 2050. I do not remember the exact numbers, but lubricant market is safe. The rate of growth will still be fast in Asia and Africa, particularly in Africa. But say 15, 20 years down the line, it will slow. And electric cars will be there. So electric car is only one of the technologies. There are so many other technology, hydrogen-powered cars. I mean, what is to stop from the combustion engine, internal combustion engine evolving in a way that suddenly the efficiency becomes 50% instead of the current 27, 28%. And then suddenly electric cars are no longer that attractive. And also, net zero is not a factor of only electric cars. When you have to consider the kind of carbon which is generated in terms of making an electric car. So it's a separate discussion. We can have a lot of time on this. Probably Dr. Vakiru will like to have a webinar later on with someone on this one on electric vehicles. After recent Politica, are we seeing any changes in Africa? How buys both its finished oils and base oils? East Africa started looking at options from East India, etc. So, Nitin, yes, obviously, the freight from India seems to be a bit lower, but as I understand it, base oil being a commodity has risen quite steeply there. And sellers are smart people. They have eliminated the arbitrage. Probably a product out of India will cost about 2.5% to 3% cheaper after duties into East Africa, is our take, which is about 2 weeks old. We did our analysis on this. So will they buy? I mean, I think they've been buying for quite some time. Will they increase the purchases from India? We have seen some increase happening in the greases side of things, not in lubricants. What is the highest API spec in use for diesel and petrol? Commercially, if we talk about, it's still CK4 and SQ, although diesel is evolving further. Okay, in Africa, in diesel, we have started seeing a little bit of CK4 started going in. Otherwise, it's CI4 and CI4 plus is moving into very decent quantities, particularly in the mining and the fleet segment. But CK4 has started moving. Petrol engine, we see probably, I mean, my personal experience has been we have started seeing a little bit of SP movement, but the SL and the remains the highest selling, and the SN has started making decent volumes. How do you see the opportunity of incorporating non-OEM additive packages in the current price concept? Okay, Mohammed. See, it's impossible for any lubricant blender or a lubricant buyer to run bench tests themselves to see how good or bad the additive inside the oil is. The OEM approvals associated with the additives give a kind of guarantee that yes, this product has been tested and found okay. And that is where obviously a lot of trust comes to the blenders, and obviously through the blenders, the distributors and the white label clients. Even companies like Richfull have started taking approvals. So Richfull is no longer a non-OEM additive package. I've seen some of their products getting significant approvals. And I think I covered the price concern and availability. Availability of base oil is obviously a burning issue, but price is not an issue. Price is only one of the issues. If you are able to point out the market realities in a manner which the buyer is able to understand, I think price is only one of the issues.
Mr. Sanjay, I think we can jump to the ones that are on the chat. There are two questions that Collins has put there. Because of time,
where is it?
Maybe I can ask you, who are the UAE's main competitors for lubricants exports in Africa? And the second one, are there any efforts to ensure compliance with product quality standards for lubricants exported to Africa, especially in light of claims about product quality from some local blenders in Sharjah, Ajman, Umm Al Quwain, and Ras Al Khaimah? So those are two questions. They had been sent earlier by one of the audience who indicated might not be in, but he really wanted them answered. Yeah? So I think we can give them the last shot before we can close.
Yeah. So, okay, I think I'm not able to see that question, but if I understood the question correctly, we are talking about who are the major suppliers.
Yes.
So obviously, the multinationals based out of UAE and Shell in Oman are some of the major suppliers. We have got MAG and Technolube and Axel and UGL, and I mean the list is quite large. Yeah, so there are quite a few people, and I am taking the names of only the bigger ones, not because there are about 250 odd blenders in UAE. We can't really cover them. In terms of adherence to the quality standards, see, UAE has got a quality standard, and for selling in UAE, we have to get the products tested, and then kind of there is a quality mark which is there. For Africa, I mean, to be very honest, I see all these quality requirements, they don't mean much because it is all testing of uh, general parameters and maximum elemental analysis. These are not going to tell whether a product is good or bad. I think what should be happening it should be more evolved than just putting general standards. Because what happens, you try to put these kind of quality standards as non-tariff barriers, then the cost of importing quality product goes up, and the cost of and smuggling of products below the radar becomes much more attractive. So I think they should get rid of all these things and probably look at empaneling uh, uh, suppliers with proven track records. I mean, that will be far more beneficial for importing countries rather than trying to put a quality requirement, which Dr. Vakiru, you are you are an expert in this field. You will know what I'm saying. That I mean, a good product or a bad product can have the same technical specifications, and it is not going to come out very clearly in this. So I think yeah, a much evolved thing will be that um, either countries as a bloc or a trading bloc can probably empanel registered suppliers if they want to control, they want to ensure good quality product comes in.
Great. I think we will come to an end now because of time. We've just crossed the hour. But I want to thank you, Sanjay, so much for the insight that you shared. Your perspective, I think, has kind of given us more illumination into solving dynamics between UAE suppliers and Africa markets. Yeah. So we appreciate your time and contribution to the industry. I think I'll give you just a parting shot you want to give.
Novus, thank you so much for having me. And as usual, I mean, like always, James, it is always a great pleasure interacting with you. And I actually wish to thank you for the excellent work which you are doing in terms of not only running a very successful magazine, in terms of promoting uh, lubricant, which is an often ignored chapter in business commerce, into making people much more aware about it and sharing with various partners your expertise. And I wish you all the best.
Thanks so much. I think for me, the parting shot is partnership, information sharing and training, product alignment, and being strategic. I think it's a bountiful of information. Thanks so much for everyone who joined us. Thank you very much. There are some few questions that was not answered. We'll share them with Sanjay. And Sanjay, please, you respond to them maybe fast enough. So we'll be sharing the responses to all the audience that had registered, as we also share with them the recording. So for us at Lubezine, keep at it. We are live on, of course, YouTube. You can be able to see last month we had the counterfeits in Africa. So this time we're having the hub in UAE, and possibly next time more information will be coming. So wish you all the best. A nice evening for them that is evening, nice morning for them is the morning, and nice night for the others. God bless you and have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Collins.